have it. Wrong name, wrong guy, you can have it. Now I see through the disguise, you can have it. Had to bounce like a rabbit, how you break a bad habit. False doctrines in your lies, you can have it. Wrong name, wrong guy, you can have it. Now I see through the disguise, you can have it. Had to bounce like a rabbit, how you break a bad habit. Ain't no more rocking that Jesus piece. Had to get free, I'm like Jesus peace. Yeah, and it happened so sweet, so happy I can see I'm like Negro, please. Speaking of Negro, the color of our hero.
Right now we're going to deal with the virgin birth issue. Because we just dealt with Matthew. Matthew is the genealogy of Joseph. Why would they give you Joseph's genealogy if he was not the father? If he was just a stand-in father? The adopted dad. Why would they give you his genealogy anyway if the spirit was the daddy anyway? Wouldn't they just give you the Most High's genealogy if he was the father of the son? I mean, come on. Absolutely. Okay, so here go the other part of this deception. Now, we got to de-Christianize and Catholicize. So we already understand that the New Testament was slightly tampered, right?
Slightly.
Well, I'm trying to be lenient right now. I'm trying to be very lenient. Okay, I was trying to get them heated as a chain. So now we're about to go to the prophecy that they use to try to validate their virgin birth. And once you understand what's going on in Isaiah 7, then you'll understand why the Catholics chose this prophecy to pervert, to try to give credence to their virgin birth. We've already reasoned past the virgin birth, just reading the account of Matthew. So here we go. In Isaiah 7, backdrop, it says, Isaiah 7:1, and it came to pass in the days of Ahaz, son of Jotham, son of Uzziah, king of Judah. Stop. That's the setting. That is giving you the time period in the book of Kings. Just like we had to go to Jeremiah to break down Josiah, to break down Jeconiah, same thing going on here. Now we're in Isaiah, but you got to go back to Kings to get the historical account of what we're talking about. If you don't have the heads and tails of the thing, it's incomplete. So right now we're dealing with the tail end. You got to go to Kings to get the head, to get the actual physical historical account. It says, and it came to pass in the days of Ahaz, son of Jotham, son of Uzziah, king of Judah, that Rezin, you got to start writing this down. Start writing it down so that it makes sense later. And I'm going to try to go through it in a fashion to where, we could be reminded of what's going on. But if anybody's following this, write these names down. Rezin. You got Ahaz. He's the king over the southern tribe. He's the king of Judah. And it came to pass in the days of Ahaz, the son of Uzziah, king of Judah, that Rezin, the king of Syria, and Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel. So who's the king of Israel? Pekah. Pekah is the king over the northern tribe. Ahaz is the king of the southern tribe. And who's the third wheel? Rezin. Who is Rezin? The king of Syria. So you got three kings. The king of Judah, the king of Syria, the king of the northern tribes, the king of Israel. What are their names? Ahaz, Rezin, and Pekah. Now that we got all that, got that first part straight. It says that Pekah, son of Remaliah, king of Israel, went up. What is he doing? He went up toward Jerusalem to war against it, but could not prevail against it. So now let's niggerize the story like I like to do. You got the northern king cut a backroom deal with the king of Syria. For what purpose? To war against Judah. To try to knock off the king of Judah so that they can set up their own bullshit king that they can control. And it was told the house of David, stop. Let's identify who's the house of David. traditionally, or what is traditionally understood. We're going to stick with camp understanding right now, and then later on we'll break through. What most people traditionally understand to be the house of David is the southern three tribes: Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. That is the house of David. That's the tabernacle of David that fell down and all this stuff that's being prophesied in the New Testament. It's the southern tribe. In essence, that's what most people understand. But if we're going to be correct, the house of David is when all 12 tribes were united as one house. So that's the first lie that you have to see through. Most people will tell you that the house of David is the southern three tribes. But to be correct, David was king during the time that all 12 tribes were united. So it was said in verse 2, it was told to the house of David, saying, Syria is confederate with Ephraim. So it was told to the southern tribe, the southern three tribes, Judah, Benjamin, and Levi. It was told to the house of David, saying, Syria is confederate with Ephraim. So who is Syria? We got to go back up to verse 1, break it down. It says that Rezin was the king of Syria. Who's the house of David? The southern three tribes. That's Ahaz. And so it says in verse 2, it was told to the house of David, of the southern tribe, that Syria is confederate with Ephraim. So it was told to the southern tribe that Syria is confederate with the northern tribe. That's how you got to break down this code. And his heart was moved, and the heart of his people, as the trees of the wood are moved with the wind. Then said the Lord unto Isaiah, Go forth now to meet Ahaz, thou and Shear-Jashub. Stop. We have to establish something. Shear-Jashub is the son of Isaiah. He's alive and kicking. Already, how do we know this? Because he's accompanying Isaiah. Where is he accompanying his father to? He says, Meet Ahaz, thou and Shear-Jashub, thy son, at the end of the conduit of the upper pool in the highway of the fuller's field. That's the meeting spot. You and your son, Isaiah, you and your son, go meet Ahaz. Verse 4. And say unto him, Take heed and be quiet. Fear not, neither be faint-hearted. For the two tails of these smoking firebrands, for the fierce anger, and that's going to identify the two firebrands that he's referring to, because you had three parties in verse 1. The king of Judah, the king of Syria, and the king of the northern 10 tribes. But two of them are called firebrands. Now we're about to find out which two. It says in the latter part of verse 4, for the tails of these two smoking firebrands, for the fierce anger of Rezin with Syria, Rezin was the king of Syria, and the son of Remaliah. Who is the son of Remaliah? Pekah. Go to verse 1. Pekah, the son of Remaliah, king of Israel. You can't forget the code, because later on they're going to expect you to know the code. They're going to leave it coded later on, so that those who don't study enough, they're going to get lost up in this thing. They ain't going to tell you straight up Pekah. They're going to say, oh, the son of Remaliah. Verse 5, because Syria, or Rezin, Ephraim, which is Pekah, the son of Remaliah, have taken evil counsel against thee, taken evil counsel against the southern tribe. It says, because Ephraim and the son of Remaliah have taken evil counsel against thee, verse 6, saying, let us go up against Judah and vex it. That's why it says in Hosea that Judah shall not vex Ephraim, and Ephraim shall not envy Judah. This is the beginning of that beast. Let us go up against Judah and vex it, and let us make a breach therein for us, and set a king in the midst of it. This is what they wanted to do. They wanted to knock off Ahaz and put their own king, even the son of Tabiel. So now you got some homework. Go find Tabiel and find out who his son is. That's the guy that they wanted to sit on the throne of the southern king and be their little vassal king, their little puppet king. Verse 7. Here we go. It says, thus saith the Lord God, it shall not stand, neither shall it come to pass. For the head of Syria is Damascus. And the head of Damascus is Rezin. So who is Rezin? Verse 1. Rezin is the king of Syria. So he's telling you who all is confederate with Syria. It says Syria is the head of Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin. Right? So he said all these niggas is backing up Rezin. And within 65 years shall Ephraim be broken, that it be not a people. So in 3 score, a score is 20. 3 score is 60. So in 65 years, Ephraim shall be broken, that it be not a people. Stop. When did you get the fulfillment of this prophecy? You get it in Hosea. When Hosea says, take up a prophecy of Lo Ami and Lo Ru'ama, no mercy and not my people. That's why it says that Judah shall not vex Ephraim shall not envy Judah. All that was the tail end of what? The beginning of this prophecy. This is the beginning of that. The very same prophecy was closed out in Hosea. So it says, within 65 years, 65 years, so from the date of this war, count 65 years in the book of Kings and go see that the northern tribe did what happened, because I ain't going to give it away. Go see what happened after 65 years after this war in the book of Kings and see what the result was, to see if this prophecy actually came to pass. Verse 9, it says, the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is Remaliah's son. Who is Remaliah's son? Pekah, from verse 1. If you will not believe, surely it shall not be established. Moreover, the Lord spake again unto Ahab, the king of the southern tribes, saying, ask thee a sign of the Lord thy God. Ask it either in the depth or in the height above. But Ahab said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Lord. That's the same thing that the Messiah said when Satan came to tempt him. He said, you shall not tempt the Lord your God. Ahab was smart right here. He knew not to ask for a sign because a wicked and adulterous generation required the sign. So verse 13, it says, but he said, hear ye now, O house of David, southern tribe, right? In to be more accurate, all 12 tribes. And he said, hear ye now, O house of David, it is a small thing for you to weary men, but ye weary my God also. Therefore, here we go. Here go the verse. Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Immanuel. Stop. Let's go get this. Let's go get this, the word. Isaiah 7:14. 7 and 14. The Hebrew word for virgin, is 59:59. Hebrews word 59:59. What I'm gonna do, since everybody is a part of the conference call group, I'm at Blue Letter Bible 5959. I'm gonna put the link to what I'm about to read in the conference call group. So if anybody has internet access right now, you'll be able to go to the conference call group, simply click on this link, and you'll be looking at the same thing that I'm reading from. Conference call. Alright, there it is. It's Hebrews word 59:59. This is the Hebrews word which is translated as virgin in Isaiah 7:14. The Hebrew word is alma. It has a root word. The root word is 59:58. This is 59:59, but the root word is 59:58. This word is translated as virgin 4 times in the scripture. It's translated as virgin 4 times, maid 2 times, and damsels 1 time. Alright, it says, the outline of biblical usage, this word is called virgin, a woman of marriageable age, or a maid, or a newly married woman. The first time you see this word used in the scripture is Genesis 24:43. Behold, I stand by the well of water, and it shall come to pass that when the virgin cometh forth to draw water, I will say unto her, give me, I pray thee, the water of thy pitcher to drink. This is when Abraham's servant was going to get Rebekah for Isaac. So the first time this word is used as virgin in reference to Rebekah before she actually married or consummated with Isaac. She hadn't even met Isaac, so that's how they were calling her a virgin. Exodus 2:8, the Pharaoh's daughter said to her, go, and the maid went, and the mother and called the child's mother. So the second time that this word is used in the scripture is used as maid. Mm-hmm. Psalm 68:25. So it's used twice in the Torah. In the first 5 books, it's only used twice. Once as virgin, once as maid. Moses only used it twice. And split the difference. Now, Psalm 68:25. David wrote of this same word. He says, the singers went before, the players of the instruments followed after. Among them were the damsels playing with timbrels. So if you take a score, that's 2 for damsels or maids and 1 for virgin. Then you go to Proverbs 30:19. It says, the way of the eagle in the air, and the way of the serpent upon a rock, the way of a ship in the midst of the sea, and the way of a man with a maid. Let's go. What is Proverbs talking about? Let's go get the context of it. Proverbs 30:19. We're going to read Proverbs, the 1 verse above. It says, there be 3 things which are too wonderful for me, yes, 4 which I know not. So 3 things are wonderful, and the 4th he knows not. Let's count. The first, the way of the eagle in the air, that's wonderful. The way of the serpent upon the rock, that's wonderful. The way of a ship in the midst of the sea is wonderful. But the 4th, he knows not, which is what? The way of a man with a maid. Now that word, now you got, if you keep the score, 3 for maid, 1 for virgin. So maid is outscoring virgin right now, 3-1. Next thing you got is Song of Solomon, 3-1. Because the savor of thy good ointment, thy name is as ointment poured forth. Therefore do the virgins love thee. Right? So the word is translated as virgins by Solomon. Right? So it's 3-2 right now. 2 for virgins, 3 for maids. Then the next time it's used, Song of Solomon 6-8. Solomon weighs in again. Solomon says, there are 80 queens, 80 concubines, and virgins without number. What is Solomon talking about in Solomon 6-8? Solomon 6-7. It says, a piece of pomegranate are thy temples with thy locks. There are 80 queens, 80 concubines, and virgins without number. My dove, my undefiled, is but 1. So Solomon is deep in the middle of his alleged love story, talking about queens, 80 concubines, and virgins without number. But what is Solomon talking about? And he's talking about how many people he had taken, so to speak. So Solomon lets you know that he had taken 80 queens, 60 queens, 80 concubines, 80 concubines, and he has slept with virgins without number. You got to understand the context of what Solomon is talking about. So even though the word is translated as virgin, Solomon is telling you these are all the women that he had slept with or been with. It's translated in the scripture is guess what? Isaiah 7:14. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin. So that just, actually, virgin just 1. Over the 3, thanks to Solomon, translating the word virgin of the women he had actually had sex with, and now Isaiah used the word virgin. So now let's go back to Isaiah 7:14. We just had to have a little activity right there. And look at this word to see that it's translated as maidens, and it's also translated as virgin. So what is the way that you're going to have to decipher which way it should be used. The big word, context. Alright, so back at Isaiah 7:14, where it says, therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin/maiden shall conceive. Now what are we talking about? Let's not get cloud brain. This is spoken to Ahaz. Starting at verse 10. Moreover, the Lord spake again unto Ahaz, saying, ask the sign of the Lord thy God. Ask it either in the depth or in the height above. But Ahaz said, I will not ask, neither will I tempt the Lord. And he said, hear ye now, O house of David. It is a small thing for you to weary men, but will ye weary my God also? Therefore, so verse 14 is the beginning of the signs to what? To prove that whatever is going on to Ahaz is about to stop. And what has been going on? The northern tribe has made a backroom deal with the kings of Syria to war against Judah. So now this is the proof to Ahaz that whatever has been prophesied is about to come up to pass. Beginning of verse 14. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and shall call his name Immanuel. Butter and honey shall he eat. Why? That he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good. Let's break this down. You got a choice. What are your choices? Butter and honey. It says, butter and honey shall you eat. Why? That he may know to choose the evil. So which one is evil? Butter. Which one is good? Honey. Why is this important? Because the promised land is the land of what? Milk and honey. So if you had to choose, and this is parable / prophecy / mystery, that's whatever you want to label it. But it says butter and honey, the guy that we should be looking for, he's going to have a choice to choose between butter and honey. It says, butter and honey shall he eat, that he may know to refuse the evil and choose the good. That's how you know one of them he's going to refuse. Even though it said he shall eat. Later on it lets you know that he's going to refuse to eat one of them and choose the good. For before the child shall know to refuse the evil, or the butter, and choose the good, the honey, how do we know that it's talking about the land? Right here in verse 16. It says, the land that thou abhorrest, the land of milk and honey, shall be forsaken of both her kings. So one more time, without the commentary, it says, before the child shall know to refuse the evil and choose the good, the land that thou abhorrest shall be forsaken of both her kings. Meaning the king on the northern tribe and the king of the southern tribe will not be sitting on the throne when this prophecy finally comes to pass. Right? When it's in its complete fulfillment, there will be no king sitting on the throne of the northern tribe or the southern tribe. Verse 17. The Lord shall bring upon thee and upon thy people and upon thy father's house days that have not come from the days that Ephraim, or the northern tribe, departed from Judah, even the king of Assyria. Why did it put that at the end? It's a foreshadow, even the king of Assyria, because who's going to take the northern tribe into captivity? The king of Assyria. We just read the account of who took the southern tribe into their captivity. Nebuchadnezzar took them into Babylon. So verse 18, it shall come to pass in that day that the Lord shall hiss for the fly that is in the uttermost part of the river of Egypt, and for the bee that is in the land of Assyria. So this is the second allusion to Assyria right here. All 12 tribes were in captivity in Egypt. But he says, even the king of Assyria at the tail end of verse 17, and he mentions Assyria again at the tail end of verse 18. Verse 19, and they shall come, and they shall rest, all of them in the desolate valleys, in the holes of the rock, and upon the thorns, and upon all bushes. In the same day shall the Lord shake with the razor. And it's going on to other prophetic fulfillments of what's going on, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to jump to chapter 8, verse 1. Unless y'all want to just keep on, well, let's just finish out with the prophecy here in Isaiah 7. Isaiah 7 and 20. And in the same day shall the Lord shave with a razor that is higher, namely by them beyond the river. by the king of Assyria, the head and the hair of the feet, and it shall also consume the beard. And it shall come to pass in that day that a man shall nourish a young cow and 2 sheep. And it shall come to pass for the abundance of milk that they shall give, he shall eat butter. For butter and honey shall everyone eat that is left in the land. And it shall come to pass in that day that every place shall be where there were 1,000 vines and 1,000 silverlings. And it shall be for briars and thorns, even arrows, and with bows shall men come thither, because all the land shall become briars and thorns. And on all hills shall be digged with the mattock. There shall not come thither the fear of briars and thorns, but it shall be for the sending forth of oxen and for the treading of the cattle. Just like I said, that's heavily coded. We will have to jump around and go get all these codes and break it all down and then fit it all back in to understand what Isaiah's talking about. We're going to go to Isaiah 8:1. Now, the first thing I'm going to say, just because we switch chapters does not mean that we switched ideas. Okay? So, Isaiah 8:1. It says, moreover, the Lord said unto me, letting you know that the prophecy wasn't over just because the chapter ended. The Lord is still speaking to Isaiah in reference to what is going to happen or to prove to King Ahaz that all of this is about to come to pass. So the prophecy is still going in chapter 8. Moreover, the Lord said unto me, Isaiah, take thee a great roll and write in it with a man's pen concerning Maher Shalal Hashbaz. Right? He says, look, write it down, Isaiah. Write down the name Maher Shalal Hashbaz. Verse 2. And I, Isaiah, took unto me faithful witnesses to record. Uriah the priest, you can go back in the book of Kings and go see these characters in Isaiah's account of what's going on. So those same people, Isaiah is mentioning, like, look, I took those same people from the book of Kings, I took them, and them as witnesses of what? Me writing down the name, Maher Shalal Hashbaz. Verse 2, and I took unto me faithful witnesses to record Uriah the priest and Zechariah, son of Jebekiah. And verse 3. So you got to understand that verse 1 is the tail end of the prophecy. Write down the name, Maher Shalal Hashbaz. It's a reason why they let chapter 8, verse 1 be the tail end of the whole prophecy of the previous chapter, so that you wouldn't even think that it's connected together. So in essence, you could take 8:1 and tack that mug and make that 7:26. So that's the tail end of the prophecy. So then in verse 2, he took witnesses that he wrote down, that I'll read it. It says, and I took unto me faithful witnesses to record Uriah the priest and Zechariah the son of Jebekiah. Now what did Isaiah do after he did that before the witness? And I went unto the prophetess, who is this, his wife. And she conceived. Whoa, well, what happened in the previous chapter? It says, behold, a virgin shall conceive. Stop. How could Isaiah's wife be a virgin when she already had a son named Shear-Jashub? You see how they perverted the prophecy? Yep. Because the tail end of the prophecy and the fulfillment of the prophecy is in the next chapter. How is it fulfilled? By what Isaiah did with his wife. It says in verse 3, and I went unto the prophetess, and she conceived. That's the fulfillment of what happened in 7:14. Behold, a maiden shall conceive. Because she wasn't a virgin, she already had a son. Proof that they tampered with the text to try to give credence to the virgin birth, not knowing that Hebrews are going to read this thing and break it down to see, nah, that ain't, man, the fulfillment of 7:14 is in the very next chapter, verse 3. And I went in unto the prophetess, and she conceived. 7:14. Therefore the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a virgin shall conceive. Well, now you know the context of that word is not virgin. It should be maiden, because it was in reference to Isaiah's wife. In the very next chapter, it says, I'm back at 8:3. And I went unto the prophetess, and she conceived, and bare a son. Then the Lord Then said the Lord to me, call his name what? The same name from chapter 8, verse 1. Malur Halal Shesbad. So guess what? We find out a couple of things breaking this down. Immanuel is a title. Immanuel means God dwelling with us. Right? That's the first thing. The second thing. So since Immanuel is a title, everything in 7 and 14 that came before the comma is the prophecy. Therefore, the Lord himself shall give you a sign. Behold, a maiden shall conceive and bear a son. When did that come to pass? Well, what was the time frame for this thing to come to pass? 66 years. Now, 65 years. 65 years. That's why you have to go back to the book of Kings to see the fulfillment of the prophecy. That's the first thing you had to do, your homework. Second thing you had to do was recognize when the fulfillment of the prophecy in verse 14 was fulfilled. That the maiden shall conceive and bear a son, that's fulfilled in the very next chapter, verse 3. And what was the name that we should have been looking for? Malil Halal Shesbad, not Immanuel. And he told Isaiah, write this down. Go get some witnesses. Like Smokey said, write it down. Make a movie. I don't give a damn. And he wrote it down and had witnesses. Then he wrote down his name before he went in unto his wife, and she could see how long does it take for a child to gestate? 9 months. And then when the child came, then the Lord said unto Isaiah, call his name what? Malur Allah Shesbad. So that would have meant a fulfillment of 65 years plus 9 months for all of this to come to pass. Now, let's see what's supposed to happen after all this took place. 8 and 3. I went unto the prophetess, and she conceived and bare a son. Then said the Lord to me, call his name Maher-shalal Hashbaz. For before the child should have knowledge to cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be taken away before the king of Assyria. Now we got to go break this down. What is verse 4 talking about? You have to go back to chapter 7, verses 8 and 9. To break that, you got to go get the codes. It's like fill in the blank when we were at school. It says, so I'm going to read chapter 8, verse 4 again, while everybody run back to Isaiah 7, verses 8 and 9. It says, for before the child, what's the child's name now? Maher-shalal Hashbaz. So before the child shall have knowledge to cry, my father and my mother, how long does it take for a child to speak? For those of us that have kids, roughly a year to change. It says, for before the child shall have knowledge to cry, my father and my mother, what's going to happen? Before the child is old enough to speak, what is going to already have taken place? The riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria shall be taken away before the king of Assyria. So go back to chapter 7, verse 8. It says, for the head of Syria is Damascus, and the head of Damascus is Rezin. So it says what? The northern tribes and their king is going to be what? According to chapter 8, verse 4. It says the riches of Damascus, that's Rezin, and the spoil of Samaria, it just told you that the head of Ephraim is Samaria, and the head of Samaria is Remaliah's son, which was Pekah, the king of the southern tribe. So all of that shit that was being broke down in 7, that's why I told you, write it down, make a movie. Pay attention, because we're going to need it later in the next chapter to break down what was the end result of the prophecy. It took 65 years for what to happen? For the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria to be taken away before the king of Assyria. This is a prophecy concerning the northern tribes being taken away in their captivity, never to return. But the Catholics then pour juju juice and sauce all on it for you to think that it's a prophecy concerning the immaculate conception of Mary to give birth to the sun god, Jesus the Christ. And it's not. But because they know that our people won't read, that's the first thing they bank on, is that we won't read it. Second thing they bank on is that Yah's Spirit is not with us to break this thing down. And if we're his people and the Yah's dealing with us, like the verse in Psalm said, his spirit should be able to fall on somebody amongst the group to break the thing down. So, once again, in verse 4, chapter 8, verse 4, before the child should have knowledge, cry, my father and my mother, the riches of Damascus and the spoil of Samaria, the king of the northern tribe, and all of the northern 10 tribes shall be taken away before the king of Assyria. And the Lord spake also unto me again, saying, the prophecy is still not over. For as much as the people refused the waters of Shiloh, now you got to know your history. You got to know that once they crossed over the Jordan under the leadership of Joshua, they set their mobile tabernacle that was moving around for those 40 years. That mobile tabernacle was set up as a permanent residence in the city of Shiloh. You have to know that. You have to know your history to even know what Isaiah is talking about here. So it says in verse 6, for as much as this, Isaiah 8:6, for as much as this people refuses the waters of Shiloh, the everlasting waters that go softly, and rejoice in Rezin and Remaliah's son. Rezin was who? You got to go back to 7:1. Rezin was the king of Syria. Remaliah's son was Pekah, the king of the northern tribe. You got to keep remembering those codes because they expect you to know them later on. Verse 6, for as much as the people refuses the waters of Shiloh, they go softly and rejoice in the king of Syria and the king of the northern 10 tribes. Now therefore, behold, the Lord bringeth upon them the waters of the river, strong and many, even the king of Assyria. This is the third time he's telling you, like, look, they're going to go into their great captivity. The northern tribe will cut his back, no deal with the king of Syria. Their ass is done. They're going to go into captivity, never to return. So Isaiah is prophesying against the northern tribe that they're about to go into captivity. What was the sign given? That Isaiah's wife was going to conceive a son. And once all of that took place, you got to go back to Kings and find out, and I believe it's 2 Kings 17, that under which king they went into the northern captivity, under the king of Assyria. And all of this is prophesied here in Isaiah 7 and 8. So it says, verse 7 of Isaiah 8, now therefore, behold, the Lord bringeth up upon them the waters of the rivers, strong and many, even the king of Assyria and all his glory. And he shall come up over all his channels and go over all his banks. He shall pass through Judah. He shall overflow and go over. He shall reach even to the neck. And the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of thy land, O Immanuel. So the breadth of somebody's land, so hold on, wait. Immanuel was prophesied in 7 and 14. It said, a virgin shall conceive and bear a son, and his name shall be called Immanuel. But we found out that the prophesied son to come through Isaiah, his name wasn't Immanuel, his name was Maher Shalom Hashbaz. But now Immanuel's name comes back up in verse 8. It says, and he shall pass through the land of Judah, meaning who? The king of Assyria shall pass through the land of Judah. He shall overflow and go over. What's going on here? If you're paying attention, we were just talking about the northern tribes being taken into captivity. So why now are we talking about the king of Assyria going into the land of Judah? He shouldn't be with Judah. So obviously we're dealing with a whole separate prophet. In the midst of the prophecy dealing with King Ahaz and all that, Isaiah is putting forth a separate prophecy when a different king of Assyria is now going to come and torment Judah instead of tormenting the northern 10 tribes. And if you're not paying attention, you won't pick up that the prophecy actually changed gears. It says in verse 8, and he, meaning the king of Assyria, shall pass through Judah. We were just dealing with the fact that he was supposed to come take the northern tribes into captivity. So at a later time and date, the king of Assyria, or the prophetic king of Assyria, should I say, is going to come through Judah, and he shall overflow and reach even unto the neck, and stretch out his wings and stretching out, and the stretching out of his wings shall fill the breadth of thy land, O Immanuel. O God dwelling with us. So whoever this prophetic Immanuel is, when the king of Assyria shall start with Judah, that's when Immanuel is going to be called to do something about it. So that's a completely future prophet.
Sure enough.
So it says, verse 9 of Isaiah 8, it says, associate yourselves, O ye people, and ye shall be broken in pieces, and give ear, all ye of far countries. Gird yourselves, and ye shall be broken in pieces. Gird yourselves, and ye shall be broken in pieces. Twice. Take counsel together. Ain't that what we're doing? We're coming together, taking counsel together. And it shall come to naught. Speak the word, and it shall not stand. For God is with us. That is the title of Immanuel. God is with us. For the Lord spake thus to me with a strong hand, and instructed me that I should not walk in the ways of his people, saying, say ye not, a confederacy. So he was telling Isaiah, don't even tell them about what's about to happen. Don't even tell them about the confederacy. Say ye not a confederacy to all them to whom this people shall say, a confederacy? Neither fear ye their fear, nor be afraid. Sanctify the Lord of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary. Right? So the Messiah, or this Immanuel, who we're referencing, because see, the Catholics knew to come back to this prophecy. They knew to come back to deal with it, but they perverted it. So now let's get the true essence of the prophecy. This is Isaiah 8 and 14. In reference to the Messiah, a.k.a. the red letter. It says, he, or Immanuel, God dwelling with us, he shall be for a sanctuary, but for a stone of stumbling, and for a rock of offense to both houses of Israel. What is that? The northern and southern tribes. So all 12 tribes, in reference to the Messiah, is going to be a stumbling block. He's not going to be easily figured out. That's what it was saying in the New Testament. So it says, he shall be for a stone of stumbling and for a rock of offense to both houses of Israel. And for a jinn, which is a demon. That's why I forgot, I think Paul declared that you can't call Jesus the Christ except by the Holy Spirit, which he was trying to pervert this understanding, because it says the Messiah is going to be a stumbling block for both houses, the northern and southern tribe, for a jinn, which is a demon, and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken. Bind up the testimony. All of this is still concerning the Messiah, put forth by Isaiah. Bind up the testimony and seal the law among my disciples. Who had disciples in the New Testament? It says, bind up my testimony and seal my law among them. And I will wait upon the Lord that hideth his face from the house of Jacob, and I will look for him. Behold, I and the children whom the Lord hath given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel from the Lord of hosts, which dwelleth in Mount Zion. And when they shall say unto you, seek unto them which have familiar spirits, and unto wizards that peep and that mutter, should not the people seek unto their God for the living, to the dead, to the lost of the testimony? I had to read all of that because I wanted to jump from 15. I want to back up to verse 16, Isaiah 8 and 16. It says, bind up. Now, let me go back up to verse 13. It says, the Lord of hosts himself, sanctify the Lord of hosts himself, and let him be your fear, and let him be your dread. And he shall be for a sanctuary, which is a house, a safe haven, but for a stone of stumbling, and for a rock of offense to both houses of Israel, and for a demon, and for a snare to the inhabitants of Jerusalem. And many among them shall stumble and fall and be broken and be snared and be taken. Bind up the testimony and seal the law among my disciples. That's the first clue. Somebody came in the New Testament and had disciples. It says, bind up the testimony and seal the law. He said, think not that I come to destroy the law. I've not come to destroy, but fulfill. And his testimony is the four gospels. It says, bind up the testimony and seal up the law among my disciples. Then jump to verse 20. To the law and to the testimony, if they speak not according to this word, it is because there is no light in them. And they shall pass through it, partly be steady and hungry, and it shall come to pass, when they shall be hungry, they shall fret themselves and curse their king and their God, and look upward. And they shall look unto the earth, and behold, trouble and darkness, dimness of anguish, and they shall be driven to darkness. Those last two verses are dealing with another prophet. But concerning this Immanuel, or this stone of stumbling, it says, bind up the testimony and seal the law among my disciples. And the flip side of that coin is to the law and to the testimony. If they speak not according to this word, what word? These last couple of chapters spoken by Isaiah. You got to be able to figure all this out, to figure out who the Messiah really is. What is his title? When is he coming? How is he going to come? So this prophecy is in a small portion dealing with the Messiah, but not the portion that the Catholics and Christians try to say it is. So now that we tore down where they get this immaculate conception from, and we've reasoned around how Joseph possibly is the biological father of the Messiah, meaning that if Joseph did have a son, whom the world called Jesus, he would have been the seed of David. And based on both genealogies, he would have been the son of man, which took it all the way back to Adam, and he would have been the seed of David.
Rockin' that Jesus piece, had to get free, I'm like Jesus peace. And let's ride.